Hey guys, I want to put in my 2 cents for eye positioning on jigs. Somebody once told me a few years ago that how important it is of your eye tie and your eye positioning on your jigs and stuff like that. And I've been playing around with it for a couple years and stuff like that, and I think he's truly right. And most people probably don't look at it as being that big of a deal, but sometimes it seems like it is. Like for instance, this is a grub head that I use a lot in the spring for smallmouths. I'll run a PTL grub on the back of this, and see how that eyelet is 90 degree positioning. Well, it usually just kind of goes like this in the water. Well, I've had smallmouths chase this but not commit. But if I tie my knot right here and super glue it so it makes it tip like this when I'm reeling it in, they'll commit. It's just little things like that that has got me really hooked on eye positioning and stuff like that. If you change something, if they're chasing it, they want it. Either they're getting too good of a look at it, or they're wanting it, but you have to just change something a little different. Sometimes it's just the color. Sometimes it's the eye positioning. And sometimes I've even put my knot way back here and tied it and super glued it so it's like this in the water when it comes in. And, like I said, for smallmouths, chasing the grub, it seems like that really helps. So there's my grub eyelet positioning. I just wanted to talk to you about this. I'm going to get into tube positioning. This is an internal tube for all your smallmouth fishermen. 60 degree bend. I like this for like when I'm dragging. Like when you put weight, when you put pressure on this eyelet, it pops it. So you can drag pretty good with it. Now here's a 90 degree. And you can do the same with that if you super glue the knot. But most of the time when you're pulling on this, it's just straight. Sometimes they want this more, and sometimes they want that. It all depends. Like up here on the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River and stuff like that, where they do a lot of drifting in the current for smallmouths, they prefer these because it looks more like a goby on bottom. Now, if I'm imitating a craw, I want this, where I could pop it up. Then, I wanted to show you, this is a PTL white tube. I chose white for you guys to see it better. Most people, when they put these in, they go all the way up until it bottoms, then pop it through, just like that. I've been on schools where they're blowing up on eelwise, and they'll hit this, but sometimes if you pull it back and pop it through right there, it changes the fall. It makes this, when it falls, it makes a wider spiral. It makes a more erratic spiral. It's totally different. So, like, I just play around sometimes. If I'm at a big school, I'll just play around with this eye positioning inside the tube. The farther you go back, the wider the thing will fall in a circle. Of course, you're going to have more line twist, especially on a spinning reel. I usually, sometimes I'll even, if it's really bad, I'll put a swivel up, a couple feet up above. But there's my tubes and my grub. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about shaky heads. This is a 60 degree flat eye. Football head shaky. This is my favorite eyelet positioning out of all. What you can do with this, anytime you put pressure on that eye, it pops it. So with a shaky head, you can sit there and do this, and just makes that tail dance. Now I've seen some shaky heads with a 90 degree and some with a 60 degree that's parallel with a hook. Those are good too, but these ones For some reasons, these ones don't snag up as bad. The 60-degree flat eye. Then there's a round. Like I said, you could just put pressure on it, and it pops it for like slack line. Now here's a shaky head that I kind of grown fond of. It's when I have more of a grassy bottom and these football head shakies and the rounds are hanging up. This is an Aaron Martin's Davis shaky head. I don't know if you can see, that hook? That's called a sprout hook. That's probably one of the meanest hooks you can get. I like to run those in my internal tubes, and I'm actually in the process of trying to modify my mold, one of my extra molds, to see if I can get this hook into a shaky head. The hook is kind of expensive, but you don't lose fish with this hook. This hook's actually an animal. Now, if you can see the eyelet positioning, it's kind of like my brush head jig. It stands up the whole time. This one is very, very good for coming in and out of cover with that eye positioning. It falls vertically. Then when you pick it up, with that eye positioning, when you pick it up, it comes straight up. Very good for cover, shaky head. Same with the brush jig, and I'll show you that now. Here's my brush jig. That's what they call it for. It's just like that shaky head. Very good in the brush. Stands up. It falls vertically, stands up, and with that way that eye positioning is, it pops straight up in the air. And it always, whenever it always falls vertically. Now I'm going to get into football heads. Football heads is one of my go-to baits. There's 3 different types of eye positionings you can get for a football head. There's this type. It's just a regular 90-degree flat eye. This is very good for, like I said before, just scooting along bottom. I don't usually use these with a silicone. I usually use these with living rubber in the spring and in the when it starts getting cold. This is like my go-to real slow dragging football head. And here, here's my favorite one. It's a 60-degree flat eye. Like I said, you could, like sometimes when I hit a boulder, when I feel a boulder or rock, I can sit there and shake this thing. Bass love pinning stuff against. They like to pin their bait against stuff, and then they'll suck it up. And when you hit a boulder, and you just sit there and shake it, make that trailer pop up, they'll just attack it. And I mean, this is good for dragging because anytime you got pressure, this thing is popped up. Then you can sit there and actually shake it a little bit. Now this one's very good too. Like I said, this is a 60-degree flat eye. This one seems to hang up a little bit worse than the that's the 60-degree flat eye. That's the one that's parallel with the hook. This one seems to hang up a lot, but this one's very good for, like, I usually use this one for heavier, and when you put pressure on it and drag it, I just drag it along the bottom. But this one's not good for, like, I mean, you can shake this one a little bit, when you put pressure on it, you could do that, but like I said, this one just seems to hang up more. I think the rocks get caught right here on each side, and if you're in brush or something like that, it seems to get caught better. But then we'll get into your finesse jig. I like the 60-degree flat eye. Some people run the 90. I don't like running the 90. Like I said, I like to be able to on slack line, if I'm next to a tree or something like that, sometimes I like to just give it a couple shakes with the slack line, and it makes that jig pop. Now this is really critical for me. This is a mop jig. I believe that's called a 28-degree bend, flat eye. And this is an archy head. This is a 60-degree flat eye. But these two right here are the best flipping baits I've ever seen for brush. You can sit there, you know, as a mop jig always stands up, but you can put pressure on it and make it pop with that eyelet. And the same with archy. Archy has a little bit more pop than the mop jig, just the way the head design is. But as you can see, that these heads are nice and smooth, and they just they go through the brush pretty good. They don't get hung up very much. You know, I'm pretty sure that archy is one of the first original jigs ever made. So this jig's been around for a long time. Then I'm going to get into, swim jigs / grass jigs. This is a 28-degree bend eyelet. It's parallel with a hook. Comes through the grass very well. As you're reeling it along, it's nice like that. Then it doesn't get hung up, and it's just a very good all-around head. And when it falls straight down. This is a hack attack jig. As you can see, it's pretty much got this, the 38-degree bend, parallel with the head or the hook. And this is a 1 ounce, so this is a punch-in jig. Works very well. Like I said, it doesn't get hung up. Comes through the grass well. But other than that, guys, I just wanted to go over some eye positionings. I mean, most of you probably already know that, but I'm real big on it now. And the biggest thing I wanted to share with you is when I'm running a grub, is sometimes I super glue the knot in position where I want the bait to do, and same with the tube. But hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Give me some feedback if you guys like this video. Other than that, talk to you later.